Vulnerability is often misunderstood. In a world that equates strength with perfection, it's easy to think that showing our true selves, our fears, insecurities, and struggles makes us weak. Yet nothing could be further from the truth. True power comes not from hiding those parts of ourselves, but from owning them, embracing them, and letting them shine through in all their rawness. The chosen women, those who are marked by their courage, understand that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness, it is a profound form of strength. It is the strength to be seen fully, without defense or pretense, and to be okay with not having all the answers. They know that there is deep transformative power in being real. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we step into our most authentic selves. And authenticity is magnetic. It draws others to us, not because we have it all together, but because we're not afraid to be real. There's something incredibly powerful about someone who is willing to show their heart, to expose their human imperfections, and yet still stand tall in their worth. This is the mark of the chosen woman, the one who doesn't hide behind walls or put on a mask to fit in. Instead, she wears her truth like a crown, letting it guide her, letting it shape her, letting it connect her deeply with others. Vulnerability is not the absence of strength. It is the ability to move through the world with courage in the face of uncertainty. It's the courage to stand up and speak your truth when it feels easier to stay silent. It's the courage to risk failure, knowing that even in that you will find something to learn and grow from. It's the courage to put yourself out there, despite the fear of judgment or rejection. The chosen woman isn't afraid of being hurt, because she understands that there is no true growth without risk. She leans into vulnerability because she knows it holds the key to greater strength and deeper connection. However, this does not mean that vulnerability is always easy. It is not something we always choose willingly. In fact, often vulnerability is thrust upon us by life's circumstances, by moments of loss, disappointment, heartbreak, or struggle. These moments may feel like they are tearing us apart, and yet they are often the very moments that shape us into the women we are meant to be. The chosen woman recognizes that these moments of discomfort are, in truth, the birthplace of her power. She allows herself to feel the weight of them, to experience the rawness of them, and to process them fully. Only then does she emerge stronger, more resilient, and more attuned to her own inner power. The key is to lean into vulnerability with an open heart and mind. It's easy to shut down when life gets hard or when we feel exposed, but the chosen woman doesn't close herself off. She chooses to stay open even when it feels like the world might be too much to bear. She trusts that by embracing vulnerability, she will uncover the strength she needs to move forward. She understands that growth requires discomfort, and that vulnerability is a powerful tool for transformation. She uses it to peel back the layers that no longer serve her, to heal old wounds, and to step into her full potential. The power of vulnerability is also in the connections it fosters. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we invite others to do the same. This creates a space for deep, authentic connections to form. Connections based on understanding, empathy, and shared experiences. The chosen woman is a leader in this regard, not because she is perfect, but because she creates room for others to be imperfect with her. She models the power of vulnerability, showing others that it's okay to be real, to be flawed, and to ask for help when needed. In doing so, she creates a community of support and belonging where everyone feels seen and valued for who they truly are. Moreover, vulnerability is essential for creativity and innovation. When we are vulnerable, we allow ourselves to take risks in our ideas, our work, and our aspirations. We step into the unknown with trust, believing that even if we fail, we will learn and grow from the experience. The chosen woman understands that the path to greatness is not paved with certainty or perfection, but with the willingness to step into the unknown, to try and fail and try again. It's through vulnerability that she taps into her creative potential, that she finds the courage to pursue her dreams and to push past the limitations she once believed defined her. Finally, embracing vulnerability is an act of self-compassion. It is the act of allowing ourselves to be human, to experience the full range of emotions, and to give ourselves grace when we fall short. The chosen woman knows that vulnerability isn't about being fragile or broken. It's about being whole and fully accepting all parts of herself. It is through vulnerability that she connects with her own heart, allowing it to guide her on her journey. She isn't afraid of what she might find within because she knows that there is a vast well of strength waiting to be discovered in the depths of her own vulnerability. Being real, raw, and unwavering in your truth, no matter what life throws at you. When faced with adversity, the chosen woman doesn't hide her pain or wear a false face of strength. She doesn't pretend that everything is fine when it isn't. Instead, she allows herself to feel what she feels, knowing that her emotions are valid. She doesn't suppress her vulnerability, nor does she try to appear stronger than she really is. There is strength in allowing yourself to be vulnerable, especially when life challenges you. Authenticity doesn't require perfection. It requires honesty. And there is nothing more powerful than standing in your truth during your darkest moments. In the face of hardship, many will resort to putting on a mask, pretending to be someone they are not in order to fit in or to avoid judgment. The world often tells us that we must have it all together, that we must project an image of strength that excludes the messiness of life. Yet the chosen woman rejects this. She understands that adversity doesn't require her to pretend to be something she's not. It calls on her to be even more true to who she is. She knows that in embracing her authentic self, she invites not only healing, but also a deeper connection with those around her. It's through authenticity that she finds her voice and, in doing so, inspires others to do the same. In the hardest moments, she lets her true self shine, knowing that her vulnerability and truth are the pillars of her resilience. The courage to remain authentic during tough times is often the most difficult challenge a woman can face. It's easy to be authentic when everything is going well, but when adversity strikes, we are often tempted to abandon our true selves in favor of hiding our feelings, pretending that we are unscathed. Yet the chosen woman knows that her authenticity is what keeps her grounded and connected to herself. By remaining true to who she is, even in the midst of hardship, she affirms her worth and her resilience. She doesn't give in to the pressure to conform to society's expectations of what a strong woman should look like. Instead, she defines strength on her own terms, finding power in her ability to show up as her real self. There's a deep sense of freedom that comes from being authentic in the face of adversity. When we choose to embrace who we truly are, we are no longer enslaved by the expectations of others or by the fear of judgment. We are free to be human, to experience the full range of emotions, and to show up as ourselves without apology. The chosen woman knows this freedom well. She understands that her value is not tied to external validation or the approval of others. Her authenticity is her power, and no challenge can strip that from her. In fact, it is the very adversity she faces that strengthens her sense of self, helping her to better understand who she truly is and what she stands for. Being authentic in adversity also means facing the fear of vulnerability. There is often a deep fear that if we show our true selves, we will be rejected or misunderstood. The chosen woman has felt that fear, but she has chosen to move through it, knowing that authenticity is worth the risk. She trusts that those who are meant to be in her life will love her for who she truly is, flaws and all. And those who cannot accept her authenticity, they were never meant to be part of her journey. She no longer fears rejection because she knows that in being authentic, she will attract the right people. Those who honor her for her truth and who walk beside her through both the good and the difficult times. It's important to remember that authenticity in the face of adversity does not mean that a woman is immune to the pain or the challenges she encounters. The chosen woman experiences the weight of life's difficulties just like anyone else, but what sets her apart is her unwavering commitment to stay true to herself throughout the process. She doesn't seek to escape or numb the pain, but to face it with grace and strength. In doing so, she transforms adversity into an opportunity for growth. She understands that in the midst of life's storms, there is always a lesson to be learned, a deeper understanding of herself to uncover. She uses each challenge as an opportunity to come closer to her authentic self, knowing that the path to wholeness is never linear, but always worth the journey. Authenticity also brings with it a sense of community and connection. When a woman shows up as her true self in moments of adversity, she gives permission for others to do the same. It is through this mutual vulnerability that deep, meaningful connections are formed. The chosen woman knows that in showing her authentic self, she encourages others to step into their own authenticity, creating a ripple effect that spreads love and understanding. She doesn't see adversity as something that isolates her, but as a bridge to connect with others in a more profound way. Her authenticity becomes a source of inspiration, offering a safe space for others to be real, to be vulnerable, and to grow alongside her. In the end, authenticity in the face of adversity is not just about surviving. It's about thriving. It's about using life's hardest moments to become the fullest version of yourself, to step into your power with grace, and to lead others by example. The chosen woman doesn't simply endure hardship, she rises from it, stronger, more resilient, and more deeply connected to her true self. By embracing her authenticity, she becomes a beacon of light for others, showing them that no matter the adversity, there is always room for truth, for love, and for growth. And that, beloved, is where true strength lies. At its core, setting boundaries is about knowing who we are, what we need, and what we will and will not tolerate. It requires deep self-awareness and a willingness to listen to the quiet whispers of our hearts that say, this is too much, or this is what I need to thrive. The chosen woman is attuned to these inner signals, and she understands that setting boundaries is not an act of rejection, it's an act of preservation. She knows that by honoring her own limits, she is in a better position to show up as her best self for others. She doesn't give from an empty cup because she knows that when she takes care of herself first, she is able to give more generously and authentically. Setting boundaries is not always easy. In fact, it often takes great courage. The world may tell us that we should be accommodating, self-sacrificing, and always available. It can be difficult to say no when we feel the pressure to please others or to avoid conflict. But the chosen woman has learned that true strength lies not in constantly pleasing others, but in standing firm in her own needs. She knows that when she says no to something that drains her, she is saying yes to her own peace, health, and happiness. It takes courage to turn down requests, to set limits on our time, and to prioritize ourselves without guilt. The chosen woman understands that she cannot pour from an empty cup, and she isn't afraid to acknowledge her limits. One of the greatest gifts that setting boundaries offers is emotional protection. The chosen woman understands that not all relationships, situations, or environments are conducive to her well-being. Whether it's a toxic friendship, a demanding job, or an overbearing family member, she recognizes when something is draining her emotionally and mentally. She has the courage to step back, to say no, and to protect her emotional space. Setting boundaries isn't just about saying no to others. It's about saying yes to ourselves, to our needs, and to the peace we deserve. By drawing these lines, she ensures that her emotional energy is reserved for those people, places, and activities that nourish her soul. Setting boundaries also requires letting go of the fear of disappointing others. Many of us have been conditioned to believe that if we say no or if we assert our needs, we will hurt someone else's feelings or create conflict. The chosen woman knows that this fear is a form of self-sabotage. She understands that it is not her responsibility to manage other people's emotions or to take on burdens that are not hers to carry. She is not afraid to say no when it's necessary because she knows that in the long run, it is healthier for everyone. In the process of setting boundaries, she teaches others to respect her needs and to honor her time, energy, and emotions. She is not afraid to disappoint people because she knows that by being true to herself, she is doing the most loving thing she can for both herself and for others. The act of setting boundaries also brings clarity. The chosen woman understands that her time and energy are finite, and she is careful about how she invests both. When we fail to set boundaries, we end up scattered, overwhelmed, and exhausted. We say yes to things we don't truly want to do, and we find ourselves resentful and drained. But when we set clear boundaries, we give ourselves the gift of clarity. We make intentional choices about where we spend our time and who we allow into our lives. This clarity brings peace because we know that we are not being pulled in a million directions. We are choosing with intention, guided by what aligns with our values, our goals, and our well-being. Another important aspect of setting boundaries is the ability to express our needs with love and respect. The chosen woman knows that boundaries are not about being harsh or rigid. They are about being compassionate and clear. She doesn't need to justify or over-explain her boundaries. She simply states them with confidence and respect for herself and for others. This ability to express her needs clearly and assertively is a powerful form of self-care. She communicates what she requires in order to thrive, and she does so without guilt or shame. Her boundaries are an expression of her worth, and she believes she is deserving of the respect they represent. Finally, setting boundaries is an ongoing practice. It's not something we do once and then forget about. It requires constant reassessment and recalibration. Life changes, people change, and our needs change. The chosen woman understands that boundaries are fluid and may evolve over time. She doesn't see them as rigid rules, but as flexible guidelines that help her maintain balance and well-being. She listens to herself, checks in with her emotions, and adjusts her boundaries as needed. This ongoing practice of self-awareness and self-respect is what allows her to stay grounded, focused, and at peace, no matter what life throws her way. In the end, beloved, the courage to set boundaries is not about shutting others out or being selfish. It is about honoring yourself and your needs so that you can show up fully in your life and in your relationships. The chosen woman understands that boundaries are a form of self-love, a necessary tool for maintaining her peace, her energy, and her well-being. When she sets boundaries, she is not only protecting herself, but she is also teaching others to do the same. And in doing so, she creates a life that is aligned with her deepest values, one where her peace and her power are not negotiable. This unapologetic sense of self-worth comes from a deep understanding of who she is at her core. It is rooted in self-awareness and self-acceptance, the foundation upon which her entire life is built. The chosen woman knows her strengths and her flaws, and she embraces them both. She does not seek to hide or deny her imperfections, for she understands that they are part of what makes her unique. There is no shame in being fully human, and she is not afraid to show up with her full, authentic self. She no longer feels the need to apologize for her success, her intelligence, her confidence, or her ambitions. She owns every part of herself with pride, knowing that she is worthy exactly as she is. A key aspect of unapologetic self-worth is the ability to stand firm in the face of criticism or judgment. In a world that often seeks to tear people down, particularly women, for daring to step into their power, the chosen woman is unshaken. She recognizes that others' opinions do not define her. She is not afraid to be herself, to pursue her passions, or to claim the space she deserves, even if it makes others uncomfortable. She understands that there will always be those who try to make her feel less than, who will project their insecurities and limitations onto her. But she no longer internalizes these messages. She has learned to filter out the noise and to trust in her own voice, her own truth. She knows that her worth is not up for debate, no matter how others may try to diminish it. Unapologetic self-worth also requires the courage to set boundaries around how others treat us. The chosen woman is not afraid to speak up when she feels disrespected, undervalued, or mistreated. She understands that she deserves to be treated with kindness, respect, and fairness, and she refuses to tolerate anything less. When others try to impose their opinions or expectations on her, she stands firm in her truth. She knows that she does not need to justify or explain herself to anyone. Her worth is not something that needs to be proven or validated by others. She does not seek approval from those who do not see her value. Instead, she seeks relationships and environments that honor her for the woman she is, not for who they want her to be. In cultivating unapologetic self-worth, the chosen woman also practices radical self-compassion. She recognizes that she is worthy of love and respect, not because she is perfect, but because she is whole. She forgives herself for her mistakes and does not hold herself hostage to the past. She acknowledges her struggles without letting them define her. She knows that her worth is not tied to her achievements or her failures. She is worthy simply because she exists. This radical self-compassion allows her to show up in the world with grace and confidence, knowing that she is enough, just as she is in every moment. There is no need to seek external validation when she has already given herself the love and respect she deserves. The path to resilience is not always a straight line. In fact, it is often messy and unpredictable. The chosen woman knows that there are days when the weight of the world feels unbearable, when every step forward feels like a battle. She knows what it's like to feel broken, to feel defeated, and to question if she has the strength to keep going. But even in these moments, she doesn't give up. She takes a deep breath and remembers that her ability to rise again is not determined by how hard she falls, but by the decision she makes to keep moving even when it feels impossible. The chosen woman understands that resilience isn't about avoiding pain. It's about embracing it, processing it, and using it to fuel her growth. Resilience is forged through life's trials. Every hardship, every failure, every heartbreak is an opportunity to build strength. The chosen woman recognizes that setbacks are not the end of the road. They are simply stepping stones on her journey. Each challenge teaches her something new, whether it's a lesson in patience, in courage, in compassion for herself, or in the importance of perseverance. She knows that although the road may be difficult, it is through overcoming obstacles that she discovers the depth of her own power. She becomes more attuned to her inner resilience with each setback, realizing that she has within her the strength to face whatever life throws her way. The resilience to rise again also comes from a deep sense of purpose and belief in oneself. The chosen woman knows that her life has meaning, that she has a unique contribution to make to the world. When adversity strikes, she doesn't lose sight of her purpose. She understands that difficult moments are part of her story, but they do not define her. She is bigger than her circumstances, and her spirit is unbreakable. Resilience is about holding on to the belief that there is something greater at work, even when we can't see it. The chosen woman trusts that each challenge is an opportunity to align more closely with her purpose, to refine her strength, and to grow into the person she is meant to be. Embracing resilience also requires the courage to be vulnerable. When life knocks us down, it can be tempting to hide our pain, to pretend that we are unaffected, or to put on a mask of strength that doesn't allow others to see our hurt. But the chosen woman knows that true resilience is not about pretending to be invincible. It's about embracing our vulnerability and allowing ourselves to feel. It's okay to grieve, to cry, to ask for help, and to admit that we are struggling. In doing so, we give ourselves the space to heal, to process our emotions, and to rise again with a heart that is even stronger than before. Resilience does not mean suppressing our pain. It means embracing it, learning from it, and emerging from it with a greater sense of wisdom and strength. The journey of resilience also involves letting go of perfectionism. The chosen woman understands that she doesn't have to get everything right in order to rise again. Life is messy and mistakes are part of the human experience. She doesn't berate herself when she stumbles. Instead, she picks herself up with grace and continues forward. Resilience is about showing up again and again, even when the path is uncertain, even when the road is full of twists and turns. It's about learning to love herself through the ups and downs, recognizing that her worth is not tied to her successes or failures, but to her ability to keep going no matter what. Each time she falls, she gets back up with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that she is stronger for having faced the challenge. The chosen woman also understands the importance of support during times of struggle. While resilience is often thought of as an individual trait, the reality is that we rise best when we are supported by those around us. The chosen woman is not afraid to lean on her community when she needs to. She knows that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, but a strength in itself. She surrounds herself with people who lift her up, who encourage her to keep going, and who remind her of her own power. In times of adversity, she is able to draw strength from her relationships, knowing that she is not alone in her journey. Resilience is not just about the strength to rise on our own. It's about the courage to lean on others when we need them most. Finally, resilience is about embracing the power of hope. The chosen woman knows that hope is a vital force in the process of rising again. Hope is the belief that things will get better, that the storm will pass, and that new possibilities will emerge. Even in the darkest of times, she holds on to hope, knowing that it is the light that guides her through the darkest days. Hope gives her the strength to keep going, even when the path ahead is unclear. It's the belief that something greater awaits her and that each setback is simply a setup for a greater comeback. The chosen woman holds hope close to her heart, allowing it to fuel her resilience and give her the courage to rise again, no matter how many times life knocks her down. Beloved, resilience is not about being unbreakable. It's about learning to bend and then rise, stronger and wiser with each fall. It's about trusting in your own strength, embracing your vulnerability, and holding on to hope even in the toughest times. The resilience to rise again is what transforms adversity into growth, pain into wisdom, and setbacks into comebacks. As you walk your journey, remember that you are marked by an unshakable strength within you. No matter how many times you fall, you have the power to rise again. Each time you do, you become more deeply aligned with the person you are meant to be, and nothing can ever take that away from you.